The Limpopo Health Department is taking yet another quirky side in support of COVID-19 vaccinations. This time, they're focusing on matters of the heart. Take a look.
Umjolo slaps better when you're protected. Those are the words from the Limpopo Department of Health. On Tuesday, the department's efforts to drum up support for COVID-19 vaccines caused another stir on social media. In a tweet, the provincial department posted a message suggesting that those without vaccine certificates should not be dating. The latest controversial idea comes on the back of reports that the provincial department is considering a ban on the sale of alcohol to unvaccinated customers. Earlier this week, Limpopo Health MEC Dr. Popi Ramathuba argued that regulation on alcohol would help reduce the strain on hospitals as COVID-19 cases continue to rise.
So what we are simply saying as Limpopo Department of Health and government is to call upon those who are in the liquor industry to say, let's be proactive and prevent this. We have got evidence that the vaccines have worked. We are giving them an example of our healthcare workers. Having been vaccinated, I've not lost even a single one of them due to COVID-19, except those that were not vaccinated. Same with educators. We have not lost any educator who has been vaccinated. Now we are saying, let's get our people vaccinated so that when we get to the fourth wave, it does not hit us hard. Therefore, the president will not be forced to regulate and ban alcohol.
The province's latest efforts have been met with pushback on social media, with many users accusing the government of focusing on flimsy issues instead of bigger ones such as youth unemployment. For Newzroom Africa on Channel 405, I am Yolanda Buthelezi.
All right, so that was the context and the reaction. Now we can ask, was this campaign a hit or a miss? To try and unpack that, let's bring in communications specialist and founder of Brand Architects. That's Sylvester Chauke, who joins us via our video link. Sylvester, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for chatting to us on the AM Report. You know, amongst the heap of reaction to this campaign, I've seen some people saying it's reminded them of that high school teacher who tried to be cool but was trying a bit too much and it just ended up being awkward. How do you see it?
I think, first of all, to have our people engaged on matters that are relating to the messaging that they receive from our ministries or departments is a very, very good thing. And I think when we look and engage with this poster that is in question, I think it's a good thing to have this level of attention that our people are looking at as. And I think it really does require or allows us to have a very good conversation regarding the messaging. And I think in general, I think the poster could have been constructed better, and I do agree, but I think that we must not miss the point of the poster. And I do agree with you that perhaps one of the key areas that make this poster challenging is the fact that it does feel that the department is speaking down at the customers or the people rather than engage them, on an equal footing. It does feel like that teacher who tells you, don't do this, don't do that. And you know what happens when when that's said.
Absolutely. In fact, I do wonder, in the line of work that you've done, have you found the strategy taken here to work? I mean, this idea of certain brands or companies co-opting language that they wouldn't use in any other context because they're trying to appeal to a certain population. Does stuff like that actually work?
I think, yes, in general, it does work. Obviously, there's a lot of care that needs to go into that messaging to ensure that the messaging, makes sense and that it doesn't confuse people when they receive it. But I think the sensitivity in which you want to communicate a message like that, particularly in messages that are pertaining to areas of health or religion or politics, where it can have such diverse, feedback, and I think that is probably one of the challenges, that you have to go through as a communication specialist to understand what is a sweet spot to ensure that your message does land without it confusing people or creating almost like really, really broad debates that probably you don't want as you communicate this. You want it to be clear and you want it to kind of align with people. But at the same time, it's also impossible to have every single person love the work as well. You will have, people that just like to debate or fight messages that they do receive, regardless of what you say. But on the whole, you don't want to lose the intention of the message and what you want to, land.
Right. I'm going to take my chances and put you on the spot. I mean, we've watched the great work that you've been able to do. If you were in charge of this campaign, what, if anything, would you have changed?
I think, to be honest, there's an obvious thing that almost all of us have gone through a loss of a loved one, a relative, a friend, a work colleague through this. And I think being able to just tap into what we all can agree on, which is, do we want to lose more of our families? Do we want to lose more of the people that we engage with, or our colleagues? And I think the answer would be a resounding yes. So I guess the core message, could have been, let's not lose any more of our family members, go and vaccinate. I think that would have been a little bit more sensitive to what's happening. I think the direction around specifically comparing it to sex and condoms and Jolo and that does make it look a bit more frivolous. But we must not lose the essence of the message, which is we need to take this vaccination drive very seriously because it has proven to work.
Right. On that note, on taking the vaccination drive seriously, I wonder if you think, are at a space yet where we can start having conversations around how we can actually get people to rock up at vaccination sites. Many people are saying that this campaign is essentially almost threatening people, if you like, in some respects, that take the vaccine or else, whereas that doesn't actually do the work of convincing people to take the vaccine because of the vaccine's independent benefits. In other words, how does something like this at all push back against people who genuinely have questions around vaccines and who can find other ways, for instance, of getting umjolo in a context where they wouldn't be given that pleasure from someone who takes this campaign seriously?
Well, I think I would argue that, there are grounds for the fact that the communication, specifically talking about umjolo, has a market for it, right? Because as you know, a lot of people miss that the most, particularly young people who want to go out to a restaurant or to a club and enjoy themselves, in that way. And we've seen that even with the different lockdown levels, there's been quite a number of challenges that we've had to experience with young people, rocking up in spaces in numbers, which is currently not allowed. And I think that is probably why that poster went that direction. And there is an audience that want to get back to normal, which is going back to umjolo. And I think that poster was really addressing that. But the fight around, or the communication around driving, numbers of vaccination is really a fight that has to be driven by all of us. I think from our families to our workplaces to our churches or communities. It's not something that the department alone can do. We all need to be able to encourage people closer to us to be able to see the benefit of this and also be able to get the necessary answers that they need to their questions. Because I think we all play an important part in driving this energy, around the vaccination drive. And I think if you look at social media right now, you will see that there's a lot of people who are really seeing the value in it, and they're driving that, and they're bringing their families to vaccination centers across the country to try to ensure that they get protected against this virus. So it's a collective effort, and I think this poster was just one of the means. But I would be disappointed if South Africa expects that this poster will drive all the different areas of communication that are needed at this time.
Absolutely. Well, no matter how you see this campaign, one thing is for sure, we're all going to have to get on board if we want to get to where we desire, at least insofar as the fight against this virus is concerned. Sylvester Chauke, thanks very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate it here on the AM Report. Sylvester Chauke is a communications specialist and founder of Brand Architects. Once again, thanks very much indeed.